watching The End Zone, sponsored by Lucky Star Casino.
And welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with TJ Eckert. I am Colby Daniels, and joining us this week is the Man of Steel. He is Mike Steely. As we put a bow on this college football season, we still have the Final Four, right? The college football playoff to go, but we've got a lot of off-season news still to digest as far as roster management, coaching carousel, all that good stuff. But Mike Steely, good to see you, my friend.
Man, it's good to be in with you guys. I feel comfortable here. Now, I'm old. I might fall asleep. You know, how long is this segment?
This is late for you, right?
It is. It is.
I'm just glad you were here.
Well, thank you, TJ.
Thank
you.
I appreciate that.
That's absolutely right. What is the roller coaster of this season been like for you? I mean, you've been through a ton of OU football seasons. This was a pretty wild one.
The text line's a lot of fun right now. I mean, there's a lot of real good energy on the text line. Kennesaw State again, another transfer from Kennesaw State. It's
they were pretty good this year, weren't they?
I thought 2-10, right?
That's right.
I believe.
That's right.
Because that's the first
not good
thing.
at all.
I think those people that when they saw the Kennesaw State, you know, guys, well, one's a punter, one's a kicker, one's a tight end. Okay.
That's right.
But they're like, well, surely they won the Natty at that level, right? And they look 2-10.
No,
oh my
not at all.
gosh, what? So
Listen, as you know, OU fans tend to be overreactors and doomsday.
really,
I know.
yes.
This year, it feels like it's just on another level.
Some of it's warranted, though, right?
know,
I mean,
sure.
some of it.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to be positive about, right? I mean, the defense, Brent has fixed the defense. Next year, they should be really good defensively again. We'll see what happens with R. Mason Thomas, getting Dominic Williams back, getting RSJ back. That's good. They probably need Lewis Carter leaving, maybe a little more depth at linebacker that can address that through the portal. But the offense was, I mean, that was Three Stooges stuff. A lot of times I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. This is John Blake, Joe Dickinson level stuff that we haven't seen, 25 years. And hopefully they can fix that.
Well, I don't know what the Kennesaw State defensive coordinator is doing these days, but maybe that's the direction they'll look. But speaking of the offense, I mean, you mentioned it's a clown show. They bring in Ben Arbuckle, you bring in John Mateer. That's going to be a big part of fixing the problem. But if you don't fix the offensive line, which was the big question mark this time a year ago,
You're right.
I mean, I don't know how much of that actually changes to a significant degree.
You've got to fix that offensive line, man.
Yeah.
You talk about, they went from, you think about some of the lines that Bill Bedenbaugh's had. They went from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Pee Wee Herman, basically. I mean, you've got to get better. You've got to get tougher. You've got to be able to run the football. I think it also, maybe Jackson Arnold is just not a 5-star, right? Maybe he's just not what we thought. But he got shell-shocked early in the season. And look, he played really bad, too, in some of those games. But you've got to fix the offensive line. How much pressure is on John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle? Basically, it's like, hey, guys, you want a job here? You want to help me save my job? That's pretty much what we're looking at, right? I mean, there's some pressure there. But you're right. Mateer could be great, and Arbuckle can call some great plays. But if he can't block anybody or protect anybody, doesn't matter.
You still like the direction defensively, even without Zach Alley in the picture. I know it wasn't necessarily his defense, but it's another face in that coaching room that you're going to have to change.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's like coordinator central every year, right? Here comes a new guy, and we'll see, how it's going to work out. We all know it's Brent's defense, but I did like that Zach Alley could make the calls. Seems like he took something off Brent's plate.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what does Brent have an issue with? In-game stuff.
Sure.
Timeout, some of that stuff where it looks like they're clueless at times. And if he's thinking about making the defensive calls all the time, and is that going to be good for what happens in the game?
Right.
I don't know.
There's a lot of panic over that move, right? Because you lose your DC to West Virginia. We're Oklahoma. We don't lose a guy to West Virginia in the same role. I don't know that you need to hit the panic button because, like you said, it's Brent Venables' defense. I don't think the defense next year necessarily takes a hit, whether they bring someone in or not.
Yeah.
But Brent Venables' ability to focus on the team as a whole as opposed to being the defensive coordinator is the part that would suffer the most.
Yeah, I still think they're going to have an SEC caliber defense. They can win games in the SEC.
And they're loaded, right?
Yeah, the only question is, Mason Thomas, is he coming back? Is he going to the draft? I think he's coming back, but we haven't heard anything official yet. Losing Lewis Carter was kind of a big deal because it provided depth, but I still think they'll be good on the defensive side of the ball. My only question is, who's going to be your leader? No, Danny Stutzman was the captain, right?
No
he was
doubt.
the guy.
No doubt.
Billy Bowman was second in charge. Who's going to fill those roles? You know, I think they'll be good enough to win games in the SEC on the defensive side of the ball. But you can't be the complete, you know, the Titanic hit the iceberg on offense. And, man, I don't know if Brent's going down with the ship or not. We've got to find out.
To what degree should Sooner fans be hitting the panic button going into this offseason?
Man, I don't know if the doomsday clock's at midnight, but it's about 9 or 10 o'clock right now. A lot of pressure. I mean, I'd like to sit here and tell you, yeah, Mateer's the answer, Arbuckle's the answer. You nailed it, I think. It's the offensive line.
Absolutely.
I think those guys can do a good job, but you've got to be able to block and protect people.
That's what it comes down to, ultimately, I think. Because you can, like you said, you can call any play you want. You can have a Heisman Trophy caliber guy at quarterback, but if you can't block anybody, you don't have any time, you're not going to be able to get anything done. So be curious to see what that looks like, what the O-line looks like, what the offense looks like with the new changes here. But it's going to be a fun 6 months or whatever talk about it until we get there.
Before we take a timeout, any guesses as to who Zach Alley's replacement is, or is it Brent Venables?
I think Brent's going to be the guy calling it. I think Wes Goodwin's going to come in. Maybe he gets that title, kind of like Ted, Ted Roof did.
Yeah.
But Brent's going to make the calls, or maybe he just comes in as a linebacker coach.
Yeah.
If that doesn't materialize, I would expect Brandon Hall to be the guy in house. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'd heard Todd Bates' name also in terms of in-house.
He's kind of got the co-DC title already, but. And that wouldn't be bad. I like Todd Bates a lot. Those defensive coaches are pretty good. Offense, last year, not so much.
Mike Steely is joining us on this edition of The End Zone. On the other side of the break, we're talking about the college football playoff. That's next. And then there were four. We have a Final Four in this first edition of the 12-team playoff. And before we jump into this, obviously, you can't talk about the college football playoff and not address at least what happened in New Orleans. So our thoughts and prayers with that entire situation on New Year's Day and having to change the game to Thursday. But we do have a Final Four: Ohio State, Texas, Notre Dame, and Penn State. I mean, you talk about four of the top, 10 to 12 brands in the history of college football that are left standing as we get ready for the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl next week.
How many of these teams would have made the 4-team playoff that are left? So Ohio State would not have been in, right?
Nope.
And then Penn State were they the 3? Nope, they were out.
They were out.
So none of them, right?
Only Texas.
Yeah, that's
only
it.
Texas.
4?
Yeah.
Or no, Arizona State
Texas was the 3.
Yep.
I thought Texas was the 5. Am I wrong on that?
Are you talking about the seeding or the rankings?
See, that's what we're talking about. It's confusing.
Texas was the 5 seed, but they were the 3.
Either way,
ranked.
The way it all shook out was probably exactly how the playoff committee wanted it, because all those teams may not have been in it, the original game. But that being said, it's still so confusing to me how it was all put together, right? We were just arguing about it right there. And then you get to these 4 teams who you could make a point that these are the 4 best teams in the
How did the bye teams do? Loss.
0 for 4.
Loss.
0 for 4.
Yeah.
So the format itself is still really screwed up, and they're going to have to work on that, obviously. For
Got to reseed it. You just can't, I mean, come on.
Is 12 the right number?
Well, the seeding was an issue.
I would like to go to
anyway.
16.
You like 16?
I do, because I really think, look, Ohio State is playing better than anybody right now. There's no doubt. Will Howard plays like this, they're going to win it.
Yeah.
But how much time did Oregon have off between the Big Ten championship game? And I think they lost some rhythm. Now, again, I think Ohio State still would have won the game.
Probably.
Maybe by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
You felt like Ohio State could have won that. You named their score in that game. Jeremiah Smith right off the bat. Ooh, that guy.
Yeah, he can go.
He might be the best player in the country.
He's playing great. We thought Ryan Williams was the guy off the bat for Alabama, but
that's right.
Jeremiah Smith is the man right now.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you will go over matchups. I mean, which one are you looking forward to the most for you, Colby?
I think Ohio State, as Steely said, is got to be the team to beat. They're playing the best football. And if Will Howard continues to play like Joe Montana, nobody's going to stop them, right? I mean, he was kind of average up and down throughout the season, and they got beat a couple times. But if he's going to play as well as he's played the last 2 games, nobody is stopping them. I do think the Texas defense, though, presents a really interesting matchup for that Ohio State offense. And then I think Notre Dame Penn State is just a, similar to Notre Dame Georgia, right? Just an old school defense, run the football type of matchup.
No doubt.
I was a loud critic of Will Howard all season long, by the way. So shout out to him.
Join the club. We all thought, man, Ohio State's roster is the best in college football. They spent $20 million, right?
Yeah.
In the NIL. We thought, but they brought Will Howard.
I mean, we watched him at Kansas State for years play up and down football, and he did it for most of the season. And for whatever reason, I mean, he did what Trevor Knight did against Alabama, right? So he gets into this postseason and has just caught fire. But it's interesting that Ohio State fans wanted Ryan Day fired after the Michigan game, and now here they are getting maced on their own field and preventing a flag planting, and they are the team to beat the rest of the way. And I think Texas is also
really angers me, though. This can't happen. Come on, Ohio State, come on.
Quinn Ewers, to me, is the only thing that maybe prevents me from saying I do think Texas is the best team.
As much as he was average in that game against Arizona State, when the game was on the line,
made the throws,
came through, checked out, got the winning touchdown. It was 4th and 13. 4th and 13. This close.
Targeting or not, right? Arizona State
Riley,
was 4th and 13 away from winning the game anyway.
Kenny Dillingham was on social media advocating for the call on 4th down, by the way, saying we liked what we drew up. He didn't want to put any blame on the players. It was all on him, so he did a good job handling that. But, rough. Got to convert 4th 13.
That's right.
Scatterbo, though, what a player, man.
What a stud.
What a player. That dude.
Hate to see his career come to an end. But big things at the next level. All right, Mike Steely joins us. It's Moving the Chains next here on the End Zone. Along with TJ Eckert, I'm Colby Daniels. Mike Steely is our guest this week as we prepare to move the chains. For those that may be new to the program, it's a very simple concept. 1st and 10, we'll fire a question at you. You answer it. We will grade that with positive or negative yardage, and you have to pick up the first down. You have to move the chains.
No, pressure.
That is pressure.
No big deal.
I'm going into pump formation.
Nobody has ever missed getting the first down.
Right.
So,
good.
So no pressure. No pressure at all.
You see that old guy on Fox miss the first down for the first time?
Tripped over his own feet. It was a catastrophe. All right, 1st and 10. I'm going to give you a big opportunity out of the gate. What is the most wild interview in all your time in media that you've ever been a part of?
The most wild interview would have been when Barry Switzer was welcoming back Marcus Dupree, who left during the summer. The Sports Illustrated story, can Marcus Dupree coexist with his coach? And we were all wondering if Dupree was going to come back. He finally came back, and we all got there to interview him, and then Switzer drops in and says, "Hey, Marcus, how are you?" And puts his arm around him. And see, we can't coexist, And that was probably the wildest one for me.
I like that. That's good.
That's a good one.
That's a good memory pull there too. That was nice. That wasn't like last year, 2 years ago. That was
way back. That would have been what, 83, 84, I guess.
Man, okay.
Wow.
6-yard game.
Okay, there we go.
6 yards.
2nd and 4.
I made a guy miss and went for 25.
Well, they got called back.
Well,
Sorry.
you're behind the OU offensive line. You have to make several guys miss.
You're running for your life there.
That's right.
Okay, 2nd down. Okay, look, it's the new year, right? I'm curious, what's OU football's New Year's resolution from your perspective?
Find somebody who can block somebody.
Oh, that's a good
find
one.
somebody who can block somebody, whether it's the portal, maybe it's the Simmons kid they've got coming through the portal, maybe it's Michael Fasusi coming in as a freshman. He's dominating those all-star games.
Saw that.
Block somebody's butt.
That's a good one.
How's that?
I like it.
That's a good resolution.
Let's give you 2 yards.
Oh.
You might want to say also raise more money, right? It seems to be all about money these days.
Well,
so.
yeah, I thought we were talking, yes. If you're a billionaire, this is the telethon for Oklahoma
right
football.
now.
Please call now and donate at least $1 million. We need as many as you can get if you're an Oklahoma fan.
There you go. All right, 3rd and 2.
Okay,
and you get to go for it on 4th down if you don't pick it up here.
I'm going for it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on.
3 years from now, is Oklahoma closer to winning a national title or becoming Nebraska?
Closer to winning a national title.
Okay.
The question is Brent Venables going to be the guy? We'll find out this next year. But I think Oklahoma football, look, it's not the Big 12. You're playing, you're a golf guy.
Yep.
You're playing U.S. Open Oakmont now.
Yeah,
you're not out there playing Westwood and Norman. Love Westwood, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a tougher track now.
Yeah.
But I think Oklahoma would be closer to winning a national title than the next Nebraska. I think that's an overreaction right now.
Okay, I like the optimism. I agree with you. I'll give you a first down. So you got a first down on third down. Now we get to take a shot here.
Okay.
It all depends on how well you answer this question.
Okay.
Maybe you can score a touchdown. We've had that happen before, too. You are Commissioner Steely, okay? You have been voted the commissioner of college football. Not Nick Saban. We want Mike Steely in that position. Give me one rule change that you would make day one, right away.
Do away with the portal. Do away with NIL. Let's go back to not paying these kids. They don't deserve a thing. No.
Okay, good.
Just, change the count. Change so much about it's just a madhouse.
That's right.
Yeah.
You are playing, and this is a coach speak right here, but for the first time, I feel like 75% of these kids are playing for the name on the back of the jersey, not the name on the front of the jersey. They're playing for how much can I get paid? Well, they've got an uncle saying, man, there's a guy on the phone from Ohio State. He's got 100,000 more. It's crazy. We've got to get somehow, I don't know if you get it collectively bargained, and I'm not saying they don't deserve money. That's not going to happen. But we've got to get this under control.
It's got to be managed.
Or else in 10 years, people might just, believe it or not, be sick of college football.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Imagine if the NFL just decided once the playoffs started that free agency
You can go
also
wherever you
began at the same time, right?
Exactly.
How insane would that be? And our guy Tom was telling me right before the show, Oregon brought in a quarterback on December 4th. He didn't like the way that he was treated. There wasn't enough focus on him as they're getting ready for a playoff game, and he's in the portal again.
Unbelievable. It's really not unbelievable, I guess.
Totally
Just
believable.
some crazy stories, but I just don't like the look. I'm an old man. This is an old man yelling at a cloud. Damn it, I hate college football. But we love college football.
We love college football.
It's the best thing.
It is.
How many sports have we ruined? College basketball, one and dones, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The tournament's great.
Yeah.
Some of the games are great, but it's not Michael Jordan versus Ralph Sampson or, Billy Tubbs against Danny Manning and Larry Brown.
Yep.
It's not the same, and we're finally messing with college football. We might run off a lot of fans eventually.
Let's give him a second first down.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
2 first
I like
downs.
it.
That was a
touchdown
touchdown.
for Mike Steely. All right, OU Hoops 13-0. Are they the real deal? That's next on the End Zone. All right, wrapping up this edition of the End Zone as Mike Steely joins us. We got to talk a little OU basketball, right? It is transitioning into that season. 13-0 start, first time since the 1987-88 season that Oklahoma has started 13-0, which I don't know if you guys are aware. Things that happened in 1988. Barry Sanders had his Heisman Trophy season.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad he kept the record, by the way.
2850, by the way, is the record. 2850, not that 2600.
Yeah.
2850.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones did not own the Cowboys yet in 1988. The movies Coming to America and Die Hard were released. Faith by George Michael was the #1 song in the country. And we were still 7 years away from Oklahoma offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle being born.
They wouldn't even have thought yet.
That's how long it's been since OU started 13-0. But this team is a lot of fun to watch, and they've got a big matchup this weekend against Alabama to open up SEC play.
Yeah, Jeremiah Fears, the real deal. NBA Draft Not. Bleacher Report had him going 4th. NBA Draft Not Net had him 11th. Alabama's got another 5-star freshman, LeBaron Philem. He's also projected to go, if not right at the end of the lottery, maybe a little bit higher. So you've got a good point guard matchup in the Alabama game. But here's the deal, too. Oklahoma, Florida, and who's the other one?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, #1 team in the country.
Yes.
Plus, you have 9 teams in the top 25. We left the Big 12. It was the best conference in college basketball. And you go back right into another gauntlet in SEC basketball.
SEC is a basketball conference now, right?
That's right.
You know what? Porter's done a really good job.
He has.
And it's amazing when you get a difference maker. You know what they do? They can make a difference. That Michigan game. So, again, I think they go 8-10, maybe even if they go 7-11. Convenience store conference record. That they, 8-10, I think definitely gets them in. You would be at 21, right? in a very tough conference.
Yeah.
So, and I'm happy for Porter Moser because I think he's a good coach.
Yeah.
And they've been left at the altar a couple times.
5 guys, I think, so far this season have scored 20 or more.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of balance with this team that maybe we haven't seen in years past. But if you need a guy to go get a bucket, you got Jeremiah Fears, who's arguably one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic player right now in the country that maybe not the entire national media is even talking about at this point. We are, obviously, but people are about to find out, I think, here once SEC play begins. So,
well, that's kind of the fun part about this team, right? Is you don't know who necessarily it's going to be on any given night, and the way they share the basketball and the way that multiple guys have shown that they're capable of being that guy. That's to me what part of the intrigue with their game has been.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun to watch. Jaden Jones, still hasn't played yet. He was supposed to be a starting guard for them, so that'll be fun when he gets back.
Steelman, good to have you, and we'll do it again
Thanks,
soon.
Steely.
Yeah.
Good
For
stuff.
TJ Eckert, I'm Colby Daniels. This has been another edition of The End Zone, and we'll be back next week.